Hello.
We want to thank Deborah, the list, and the staff of both, and everyone here for the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you so much. And now, what we're here for a talk. To start with, I'm a painter, although at this point, I'm probably the only one in the world who thinks so. But I'll get back to that in a minute because we have just 15 minutes between us, so we decided we focus mainly on the work we collaborated on, which is called Delay.
And I'm a scientist by training, which continues to influence my creative practice as an artist and designer. Together, our work revolves around the question that Mary has wondered about for many years. What if you could hear a painting? What if you could hear this painting, for instance? What would it sound like? This painting, in fact, shows a magnified 1-inch detail of one of Mary's paintings. And yeah, that's what we wanted to know. What does it sound like?
It looks like the moon, but this is something that I've wanted to do for ages, to hear a painting. Because when I look at a painting, and perhaps you and all those other people who look at paintings at the museum like this, what I'm doing and what I think they're doing is they're looking really closely at the brushwork, and they're going like this. Or maybe I can say it this way. To me, a painting is a frozen record of time, and the arrangement of colors and shapes, the enjoyment of visually surfing along that surface, not being able to touch them, instantly creates desire. And that desire doesn't stop there. It is compounded by a similar tickling of the ear, the sense that complements the eye and our experience of time and space. In this way, painting stimulates 3 senses, I believe: visual, oral, and tactile. And it's this tease, this suggestion, and refusal to be explicit that captivates its viewers. A painting alerts many senses, and we are delayed. So I started poking around and seeing if anyone else had worked on this idea about what makes a painting. Because to me, $1 million Cézanne painting of apples is not great because it's of apples. It's great because it has this fantastic of the brushwork. And that's why I think and that is why you see all these people up at the paintings like this, going like this, because they're like, whoa, how does it do this? How does it create this magic on us?
Art history, though, more typically relies on other ways of understanding artworks, for instance, through formal, historical, and iconographical analysis. Usually these privilege the eye over the ear, while both, arguably, and which always bothered us, overlook the work's actual physical tactile structure, its embodiment of the artist's process and sense of touch.
How could this be? I mean, even research that's being done on painting and sound seems to ignore the surface structure, and it focuses instead on color, on the phenomena of synesthesia, or the translation of color frequencies into sound frequencies, and the most prevalent artistic form of this that you see is usually digital videos, this kind of thing. When you talk about sound and painting, it seems to me always in the virtual realm. And all this is still contributing to privileging the eye over the ear and arguably the diminishing sense of touch, which is my favorite sense.
Well, obviously, Mary and I wanted to propose something different. We wanted to unleash what has always fascinated us about painting: the music, the content, the
we practice this.
of its tactile surface. And one of the reasons we love painting is because it is a resilient medium. Despite repeated cries of its death, it continues to evolve and fascinate, informed and responding to the advances of its age. The last generation, for instance, witnessed painting moving into 3 dimensions with shaped canvases. But what we are proposing is to keep painting relevant today by taking painting into the realm of time with sound.
And for me, this goes back to the painting's tactile physicality. You know, paint can be built up like clay. It can be cut. It can be made tiny little staccato dashes. You can build it into crescendos, and you can smooth it into glissandos. And so such an interest in mine, that's my interest, led to groups of paintings with surfaces as dense as this one. And here's the details. You can see how thick my paintings are, that I actually cut them, glued them on the canvas, nailed them on the canvas. And then later I paired them with industrial materials. So here you can see them. I paired them with polished aluminum to create a pause to all this depth. And then there's a detail. And maybe it's worth noting by now I had made my way from a studio into a machine shop, which opened up all kinds of new possibilities. such as the ability to make an updated version of a Baroque ceiling painting. And for that work, this is called Urban Sky. I used the bicycle chains and a motor so that the paintings could then, you can switch, stand on the ceiling, and they could flip over from night to day. So they, yeah. There's actually a button that makes rain and thunder, too. And then this gave way to more similar surface paintings. The next one. And this is Ballet Mécanique. And here the painted box has a motor in it that makes a banging noise. Then the middle painting starts to move across the track. And then it sets off when it comes back, the painting in the back that's got a music box in it, and a light, and a buzzer, and blah, blah, blah. So, and then I started continuing with this. And I made a bunch of boxes that I started to learn to program. And I programmed so that now the paintings could move and have sound. And there's a little clip. Sound. So the top surface of the painting is actually a speaker membrane. So it plays the sound. Where are we now?
Okay.
But still, I couldn't hear a painting. But then I got lucky. I talked to a friend, and I found out that for decades, seismographs could chart earthquakes, tidal waves, and volcanic eruptions. Yet the resulting graphs all looked the same, so people couldn't tell what event it was. But today, using audification and sonification, geologists can not only see, but also listen to the Earth and know which event is going on. And this was the work of a friend of ours, Florian Grond, a different Florian. And I asked that different Florian if something similar could be done with paintings. What if, could he help me to hear a painting? And he put me in contact with this Florian, whose practice is more involved with visualization and sonifying data. And as the other Florian pointed out, this one has a musical ear. So,
yeah, so my work is based on digital structures, for instance, by using the mathematical concept of space filling curves. I created a video of my face that dissolves and reconfigures itself like a digital mandala, as you can see here. And another example of my space filling curve explorations is my interactive installation along the line, in which a flower, together with the audience's movements in the space, is dissolved into a visual stream. And although that turned out quite painterly, you can see here it is entirely derived from a mathematical structure. I've also created 3D prints of mathematical equations that became the subject of photos by Gabriele Engelhardt. Or similarly, together with Christoph Vaillant and Ruth Weber, I collaborated on the work Eureka, where we turned a neural network simulation into a 3D dimensional object, and we selected the movement when many neurons spontaneously synchronize and form a wavefront. And parallel to this, I have had a long-standing interest in sound, leading to collaborations with blind artists. The result is the installation, the haptophone, where the audience could explore 3D shapes hidden in a pedestal by touching the shape and clicking their fingers to trigger echoes of the object.
So then a bit like that other Florian did with geological occurrences, I had now this Florian with the background necessary to take advantage of digital data and the capacities of the auditory sense to bring about a deeper understanding of visual works. So then we enlisted a scientist, Brett Boma, who used this machine to scan one of my paintings, and this is the painting, and he scanned these 5 details of the painting. And then I gave all of this to Florian because sound is his field.
Yeah, and I'm going to explain a little bit how I turned it into sound. I show here the contour of the painting, the mapping of the painting's surface along the X, Y, and Z axis, which corresponds to the surface scans that Brett provided us with for each of the areas. Maybe to explain it a bit better, the first contour graph shows the contour of the painting surface, its hills and valleys along a trajectory similar to those of eye movements. The other graphs show the intensity and abruptness of the change in depth. This gives us data which we can translate into sound events. In the rough areas, for instance, where there is a bump in the painting, we hear pronounced impacts of sounds, the explosion-like areas in the graph, where in the smooth areas, the sound is more gentle and even. By stretching them out even a bit more through granular resynthesis, the sounds become even more curious and brilliantly match so aspects of delay, the title, and content of the piece we were talking about. On top of that, I filtered the sounds according to the minute shades of colors in Mary's painting by using filters typical for human vowels. This made the sounds even less identifiable as something concrete, but nonetheless, in their creation, they allude to the idea of a painting's voice. The irregular occurrence of surface incidents now becomes repeated articulations of various forms and lengths, all of them at the brink of speaking out without saying something, but asking for further exploration of the perceived.
But at the same time, we didn't want to just have an artwork which illustrated a scientific idea. We didn't want to just have, here's a painting, here's what it sounds like. So, because we're artists and we want to touch people and not just illustrate ideas. So talking with Florian, we decided to make a piece that is about love. The overwhelming desire to know something, obviously in my case painting, which can also be likened to wanting to know someone. The impossibility to do so, but the nevertheless all too human quest to try.
So what we did is create a piece that, in its fascination, delays people as love does. And something that we really like about this use of the word delay for this piece is that Marcel Duchamp's original title for the large class, The Bride Stripped Bare by Her Bachelor's Even, was Delay. And Duchamp's piece deals so brilliantly with impossible love.
So now we're going to show you what it all led to.
It's really exciting to see the artists and also scientists, designers, and the philosophers exploring all the potential of the new media. Today, I really excited to think about cross-fertilization between disciplines, art, science, design, technology. So based on my 22 years research in MIT Media, I'd like to talk about envision, embody, inspire, this cycle as a medium of the exercise. So I'm in MIT Media, but I'd like to show first the most maybe classic but also popular piece among our work called Music Bottles. So this is frosted glass bottles, but which can contain anything digital, music, poem, or story. So it's like a genie bottles or perfume bottles. It's a very minimal design, using only the language of opening and closing of the physical world to let people access the digital domain. And this project started from very personal reasons. I had a dream to give a present to my mom. My mom lived in the north part of Japan, Sapporo City. Every morning she wakes up, she wants to check the weather forecast today, sitting in front of TV. So instead of TV, I want to give a gift of these blue bottles, which contains the weather of today. So if today is a fine day, she will hear the birds singing. Then of course the question is, how about snow? That's all the design question. But my mom passed away in 1998, so I designed this one as a tribute. So instead of the music, I put instead of weather forecast, I put the music. Also next year, one of my very important friends, Mark Weiser, passed away. Mark Weiser is a father of ubiquitous computing. Now many people are excited about the IoT or UbiComp, but he's the origin. He's a real visionary. But also he really resonated my tangible visions, and his goal is how to make technology disappear, woven into the fabric of everyday life. It's a very beautiful poetic expression. So I made a tribute of these papers to him as a translucent interface. So my group really care about the representation of idea. I saw the beautiful fusions of the paintings and the sound. It's beautiful. And we use the language, text, like the poems, painting for spatial stuff. But we want to invent new representation, new materials, which enable people to go beyond. So one of my favorite representation is orari. How many people actually saw this in the museum? It's a beautiful crystallization of knowledge about the solar system universe. But the more good, important thing is there's an interface with your body. You are supposed to grab it. Then once you start to rotate, all the planets start moving, having your body, as a part of the machine. No ambiguity about the causality, why four seasons exist, why eclipse happens. Because your muscles or neuron system are firing in sync with the travel of the planets. That's beautiful. It's completely missing in your smartphone, computer, or TV because pixel decouples. Incompatible body, you can't hug pixels stuck behind the screen, very abstract. This is real 3D. All the 3D in the computer graphics is fake from one point of view in 2D screen, but this is real 3D. So how to bring this reality, physicality into the digital world or interaction is one of my research themes. In large, it's called human-computer interactions or human-machine interactions. Also, we're so lucky to be in an academic department called MAS, Media, Arts and Sciences, not electronic or mechanical or chemical engineering. So it's kind of, we can do whatever. I like this fuzziness. But all the opportunity exists at the boundary. Arts and science are different discipline, different value system. But the collision really enables a lot of interesting new pieces. Let me show the Dr. Xiao Xiao's work between music and technology. She invented a piece called the mirror fugue. She's a pianist, obviously, but also hacker, best computer scientist from MIT ECS. We want to really combine to change the notion of the music. She's not living in piano. She's moving the key without any fingers, ghostly presence. You can let your grandma, who used to be the concert pianist, download to the piano. then play with grandchildren. You can live forever, but also she can split on the multiple xiao to play different roles. So this is a challenge to the iPod. Vibrating air, stimulating air is not a music. Even before her finger hits a key, already music has started. Breathing, how to combine all the important stuff which removed in CD or MP3 streaming is one of the challenge. How many people paint here? I know you, Mary. Oh, good. Watercolor, oil. Good. How many people have kids who love painting? Good. We should paint more. So I love painting. So let me show the piece. How many people saw this piece for the eyebrow? Actually, always, I like art, but also art inside. In the era of Renaissance, painters were also color makers. They made their own pieces. Today, they buy different teacher or parents. They make their own color. If you want to get the perfect purple, you went to seashore, collecting seashells, then crack, making an pigment. Or Asia, maybe plants or flowers may give a perfect red. So how to bring back this practice of the pigment making means going upstream of the material chain. Before you consume, you create it. So stretching the imagination of artists to the upstream, also downstream. This is very important. You can make an exact same color by RGB color picker by computer, but totally different experience because it's a color of your loved one. Imagine flowers open this morning. You took care of for many seasons. You're so happy. So color of the flower or tomato, you just grow and eat. So world is full of the meaningful color, texture, and the story. How to capture all this story into every stroke is one of the challenge. So it's very easy to emulate physical world using technology, but we have to go beyond that. Just repeating the same thing doesn't make any sense. You can also capture all the motion stuff very easily. So importance of jump. So please take a look at this finger. Now use the teddy bear from which color came from. So it's not anymore painting. Painting is dead ink stuck on the 2D surface. But now third dimension, z-axis, which can capture the history, origin. That's what I taught to these kids. Beauty, she didn't listen to me. She came up with her own interpretation idea. So that's the most important moment as an interaction designers. She found her own meanings. She interpreted. She showed the creativity. Yes. If you have kids, you know what it means. And also the meta message, the world as palette. Once you play with airbrush, you see the world very differently, wearing already invisible eyeglasses, through which you see the new possibility. You see the beautiful color leaves in New Hampshire. You can't stop imagining what kind of art piece I can create using this ink. So how to turn on this switch is something most important goal of our design. So this is a summary of my 22 years battles against Pixel Empire. In the leftmost GUI, everything underwater or behind the screen. And you cannot reach it because your body is incompatible with Pixel. But we push above the water. Music bottles I showed beginning is a tangible bits. You can now open, close, which very understandable language. But also I want to go further because usually these physical material is very shy and frozen. It doesn't dance. But I want them to dance and fly. So let me start tangible bits. This is a soundscape, ordinary sound. But you can also use for sculpting device, for landscape design. We are very lucky that Media Lab is part of a School of Architecture and Planning. And former dean, late Professor Bill Mitchell, advised a lot. And he taught me about landscape design. You can sculpt, then computer can capture the shape, then paint based on the water drainage or how much sunlight each slope can get. This is very important for form giving, for beauty, and computational analysis, but all together. So important thing is the physical and digital are very different world. These are obvious, advantage and disadvantage, but the problem is big gap between them. Once you make models physically, scan, you completely lose tangibility. That sucks. That's the reason we try to really make a multiple inheritance. It's object-oriented programming language concept, but the physical world, digital world, both has a beauty. How we can really grab together. Then also how to contribute the artistic thinking and also more computational scientific analysis. These should be seamlessly connected into one medium. So we want to invent those mediums. That's the reason we did the soundscape. But problem is sound has no kinetic memory. Once you destroy here, it can't restore. It's very inert, it's shy, frozen. That sucks. That's the reason we decided to make another jump called the radical atoms. Now atoms is hackable, dancing. It's called inform. Let me show the beginning of the videos. How many people saw this video? Oh, good, I'm lucky, yeah. So it came from clay. Clay is such a beautiful media of form giving. All the tactile feedback, giving a 3D form, but shy, frozen. Now this is fully computational media, but not only giving a shape, but it's machine, robot, so it can push, move other remote objects. You can see, where's my cursor? So because sake of time, let me fast forward. You can use any found object. Actually, this demo is running on the third floor of the E14. If you want, you are welcome. Also, if you have kids who want to come to MIT, I'm happy to demo. And it's also running in, it used to be running in the Cooper Hewitt Design Museum. Now in Ars Electronica, this is running. But the important things, now you can really see all how design change. Also intermaterial interaction. It can move other objects. That really have a tremendous interesting implications. So what else? Also, you can think about all the new meaning of the affordance. Affordance is very important for design. And also you can do the, of course, car design, but also data. All the data is not printed. Printing is dead end, but they are still computing, dynamic, you can see, to meet the constraints. So this is a new kind of representation which allow people to ask what if analysis in a more dry stuff. But the important thing is a more artistic domain. So let's go back to the. So we put these three engines into the new piece called the Transform to bring to the Milano Salone Design Week. How many people went to Milano Salone, Milano Design Week? Good. We want to make a challenge to the beauty of the furniture, static furniture, skin deep beauty with against machine beauty, dynamic motion, which constantly moving. So let me show the short piece. So this is a dance inspired by the Escher. This red ball represents frozen atoms, old materials, no digital consciousness. This white piece is our radical atoms, dancing materials, which enable you to communicate or design or express and whatever. So it's kind of intentional collision of the dynamic motion and the static stuff. Bits are out, atoms. Okay, time is running out. Anyway, so I think to summarize, finding opportunity in conflict between disciplines is something important. From this point of view, art and the science is so important, breaking down old paradigms to create new archetypes. And let me also briefly show how we are involved in the art. We are just back from Center Pompidou having those exhibitions, Biologic and Syria. We don't have time to go each project, but all the archives there. But maybe most long relationship is Ars Electronica. How many people went to Ars Electronica? That's one of the mecca of the media art. We had a Get in Touch exhibition 16 years ago, and these are whole old pieces, including music bottles. But also last year we went back because entire festival took our radical atoms as a banner, conceptual banner. Then alchemist of our time, all the artists, creator became alchemist to invent new material of the new artistic expression, in which we presented biologic, which are also popular. These are all the pieces. But through those process, also with the students, we really enjoy the cross-fertilization because artists, philosophers have very different view. This is this year's exhibition in Ars Electronica. So through this process, we really came up how each discipline really contribute. Art question the world around us, but also science explains in a formal way world around us. Also design articulates the solutions. The technology enables the solution. But the most important, going into spirals very rapidly is very important. The leftmost circle is a Neil Oxman's Krebs cycle of creativity, which is a very famous one. But this is a Sagrada Familias by Gaudi, which I love. So this is a spiral. Important, this spiral should become a more force to make a tower of the Babel of the creativity. So this is a bit abstract, but we believe speaking all the language, not a single unified language, but speaking all the language, appreciating differences, then cross-fertilization, we can really build strong spiral movement. That's we, MIT Media, also Tangible Media Group, strongly believe it. To do so, vision is fundamentally so important. Tangible radical is my vision. But in all, we have to envision, then embody, then inspire. To do so, we need art to come up with new inquiries and questions. And of course, to embody, you have to speak all the technology, language, science, design. But in the end, to inspire people, you have to come back to the altitude of the art. That's the reason I really appreciate to be invited to this event. Thank you very much for your kind attention.